Okay, so how about a little bit of poetry, right? So, as John mentioned, the book is divided into sections, and each section of the book is supposed to be spoken from the point of view of a different person or group of people. Some of the poems are spoken in the first person by myself, some are spoken by other people I know, and some by imaginary characters, and nothing will induce me to tell you which ones are me. So the first one in the book kind of talks about the dilemma of the writer. So it's prologue, dramatis persona. So it's spoken by the god Mercury, or Hermes, who's on the cover. And so the title, Caduceus, refers to the wand that he carries, that wand that has two snakes and the two little wings on it. And so the idea is supposed to be that the title refers to messages. Messages, voices, words, and various personas. That's supposed to be the idea. So this poem is supposed to be imagined to be spoken by him, but you could also imagine that it's spoken by the writer, or many other artists. My little heel wings are not made of feathers, they are made of tongues. Their voices flap around my feet, hiss through my veins, and coil their noisy helix on my heraldic staff. They whisper, I am, I say, making me play all the characters this writer writes. I am the dead man on the field. I am the bird, the beast, the god, the groom, the bride. I am a hypocrite, a metaphor, a myth. If every wing word was hermetic, lovers, skeptics, Romans, Christians took my secret voices public, grew frenetic in praise of their high places and their gods. And in the end, their clamor just might run me mad. So I thought I might do almost one from each section, not quite. So this is from the first section, the lovers section. This is called Ordinary. And it's almost as far as you can get on the scale of poetic form from that first one. The first one is a sonnet. The first one had a fairly strict meter and a fairly strict form with a few variations that I like to put in. And then this one's much more free with its punctuation and so forth. Ordinary. My overcoat is a pelican, my umbrella is a stork. The flowers I plant have grown down into the soil, their roots are enjoying the sun, and everything I have to say pours back inside my lungs. My garden is a laundry bin, my kitchen a game of chess. The dishes I feed you were gleaned from a railroad, a transcontinental surprise, and every last sip I slip down my gorge tastes like checkmate at sunrise. My tires are elephants' knee bones, my speakers house bumble wasps. When I taste between sheets, feet first through the sandwich of dark, nothing is missing its flavor and wine of you and of you and of you. Oak gentle, gray pillar, wind eye. This one's also from the same section. It's called Rogue on an Empty Road. I see a bunch of you have the book in hand, so it's page 23. The fields are lonely, lovely, while rabbits dislodged at the sound of me, and I by the magpies above in anonymous trees, spring quick with the consonantal heft past ivy sleek windings and streaks of whatever is left from whatever was said. Unseen cattle shadow my steps, the other side the ditch, the hedge, or else my foreign feet echo their clumsy phobias, their bovine, gentle bulk. Van Bulben's head sage with clouds today, distant as eyes of livestock, watching solitude and glad of it. Are you on the wrong road? A timeless, wind-warm farmer asks, but who's to know? And how high lifts the ancient slope, and how far goes the growing thing? I reach beneath the bramble branches of the rose, searching for a tuber that goes away, away, a long way back, beyond where hope has opened out, into lonely, lovely, into now. Now, when I was trying to think of which poems to do tonight, there wasn't an immediately obvious theme or an immediately obvious rationale for which ones to choose, so I thought, well, reading in an academic institution, I'll choose the most literary of them. So, this one's called The Root of Time. It's on page 39, those of you who are following along. And this was kind of, this is awful. Okay, this was kind of an experiment to see how complicated I can make a fairly simple message. Okay, sorry, fair warning. This is kind of one of those that it's designed to try to encourage the reader to look things up and to go back and analyze and so forth. There are others that I'll read to you that are supposed to be immediately accessible. That, you just get an image or you get a feeling or something immediately. This one sort of commits the sin of being more like a riddle, which most poetry is not, right? Sometimes students think that. But anyway, sorry. The root of time, and for those of you who are not looking at it, root is R-O-O-D, not R-U-D-E. Almost at the blink of Bereshit, a tree grew, double-branched, Caduceus, whose cruciform foreshadow bruised the subtle beast. Round self-rolled in a Caduceus, raised by a sort of desert Gujarati, Leviathan watched God's phalanges scribe Logos. The message came in flesh, no wing-sped heels but death. The phoenix lifts its martyred head again and shouts a flatus from a thuja tree. The beatific seer beholds the blood quarter malacandra with salvation, the ecstatic sacrifice held up in flaming red, the message and the messenger in one, the ketuvim, the koine, and the incarnation. Sorry. Anybody, any ideas what that was about?
Is it the crucifixion?
Kind of, yeah. It's sort of trying to justify the choice of a long-lost pagan god or legend as a vital symbol. So it's almost kind of using the idea that Mercury is the messenger of the gods, and then one of the names for Christ is the Logos, which is the word. So it's sort of like he's both the message and the messenger. So good job, Tom. I taught her. All right, this one is called With What Kind of Body, page 47. This is a different type of experiment that I took a poem by Gerard Manley Hopkins, and I decided I would copy his meter. So I took his metrical pattern and plugged in all new words. The seed is tilled in, tended, and dead. Round-shelled, tiny, around knot, smooth spot on the palm, and then gone. Ah well. A million fellows fall through fingers and die on rough dirt where they hide until spring. And the thing there is born to some warm morn it could sing to, so peach yellow, sea pink, and thin rich green seems it, too thick in the field to be trundled in arms full, bundled in waves where the wind dares to tumble, trebled in texture, thrice trebled in sight and in sweetness to sense. See what a seed comes to, see what death to life has done now. Now, as I promised, some of them are more immediately accessible. And this one is less about a story or a meaning or a message, and it's more just about the sounds. Because sometimes poetry just likes to play with language as if language is music, as if it's made out of notes or pitches instead of made out of words. Although, of course, words are made out of pitches since they're made out of spoken sound. So this one is more just trying to capture in sounds the image that it's trying to give. So it's called The Sounds of the Sculptor, page 54. You chip and chip to shiver chisel flakes, scraps of granite. Gritty slivers, tough and shapeless, oxen stubborn, slowly break. Time ticks in tin strips, you rough scraps of granite off, thin and tough. The surface sparkles under tempered shocks while time ticks by tin strips. You rough and wrestle with this clumsy bulk of block. The surface sparkles under tempered shocks of tiny progress tuned to hammer beats. Wrestle with this clumsy bulk of block. Persist. Your stroke that strikes out sparks repeats. The tiny progress tuned to hammer beats shines a shadow of your rugged face. Persistent strokes that strike bright sparks repeat, flicking every flaw to dust to raise the ridges that obscure your rugged face. The granite gleams beneath dull specks of dirt you flick from flaws, a dust you brush to raise a shape. The form your skillful fingers worked grows from granite under specks of dirt. You chip and chip to shiver chisel flakes and shape a form. Your skillful fingers work at shaping stone. Oxen stubborn, I slowly break. Okay, I thought I might try something now, if this is okay with everybody. I have a longer one. It's sort of a series. It's a little bit more narrative. It seems like a good group to share this one with. So, if you feel like it's too long, you could get up and walk out. Seriously. All right, so this is called Crow Patrick. It begins on page 58. It's in different sections, and it's just trying to paint pictures as well as tell a little bit of a story. There's an explanation. A sign at the base of the mountain, Crow Patrick reads, "Every pilgrim who ascends the mountain on St. Patrick's Day or within the octave, or any time during the months of June, July, August, and September, and prays in or near the chapel for the intentions of our Holy Father the Pope, may gain a plenary indulgence on condition of going to confession and Holy Communion on the summit or within the week." So that's just that's carved, a sign at the base of the mountain. 1. Misty Mountains. The first sight was enough to frighten me. 4 Play-Doh peaks, bulky blunts huddled en masse in a pudgy ridge, mountains wearing chilly scarves. The 4th in line was a looming base, too wide, with an unearthly cone. A terror of shape, a horror of size, its head in the skies, its height in the clouds, its fearsome sides, something to conquer and adore. Correspond, every step of my foot, every foot of its steps. Every bit of me compelled to see, to scale, to grovel, and to defy with equal joy, submitting and surmounting, no distinction, no divide. Why analyze which trembling is fear, which is love? Whatever the body does something to the soul. This was a stiff climb, a steep climb, persistent elation carried up. I understand the hiker's driving dictum, sheer delight on sheerer heights of possession, a scaling obsession. Just the same, the painter, the poet, the photograph, passion to possess, longing to ingest, absorb, encompass, integrate, and synthesize the sky. To make that beauty part of me, to remake endless in its turn. Whatever the body does something to the soul. That is why they climb. 2. Mount Doom. Up a dried-out riverbed, along a panoramic ridge, sudden burst of rain and hail. Temperatures turned. Rounding a turn, the cone loomed bare, doom in the very rocks. Nothing else so sheer, nothing so spare, with no trip to spare, no mercy between a slip in the air, a crumbling peak, the only comfort against the intolerable sky. A force of will, the only wall against a mental fall. Every step of my foot took one more foot of its steps. Whatever the body does something to the soul. The enormous pressure of empty space behind nearly broke my little mind. I panted to hold the panic back, thought by not thinking, progressed by repression and ignorance, and I can see my body arc out, curved like the rainbow through which it falls, glorious in suspension. Ireland's fields as foil for the drop of flesh, a waterfall of bones against the clouds, the crash of blood on distant stones, a spatter of penitence for its success, a masterpiece and a disaster. Whatever the body does. Eyes can see a sizable swath. The mind can take miscellany, spectrum, the gamut with ease. Why then is my brain astounded and confounded by the diagrammatic scheme of this simple scene? Only the brown of catastrophic rock, backed by the pale of a terrible sky. Between annihilation and me, a crumble of granite, pebbles stacked by a laughing titan, sloping up into exclusion, complete and indifferent. Give me more complexity. I cannot take the endlessness of bread-sized rocks, piled mile-high, silent, wild in a way no beast can be, set as a quest in solidity. I cannot stand the stark, the tranquil horror of it. 3. A storm is coming. But the spirit can, and the body does. It sets its teeth and its feet for the heights. The mind must be enormous, to enclose in one ignored corner such a massive swath of space undusted. If I can pack aside real fear and my idea of the entire size of the universe, not ending with the atmosphere, on past planets, out past galaxies, all pressing more than the heaviest pack on my unstopping back, into some tiny corner of my mind and hide it there, just a nagging, unacknowledged noise, a dust feather in a draft, then how huge is my mind? Whatever the psyche does. This is virtue. or something palpable that deeds of less tactile goodness can only adumbrate. There is no afterlife for embodied acts of topographic goodness. Defy gravity, encounter vertigo, drown paranoia in sweat, strain tendons past the point of hesitation, bend knees to climb, and the act lives on. The soul takes each step and knows each strain, and all is paid in performing. No double recompense, no purgatory, all is purged. The aching thighs, the listening for an avalanche, the thinner air clearing the fog inside and out of the skull, the alert tension in pectorals, abs, and calves, the Achilles taut and strong, all delight in terror and tread down to fear. Whatever the spirit does something to the flesh. 4. Into the West. This touchable meat of me and my glorious intangibility both suffered and endured, both ache as the summit nears, and both will be stiff with victory tomorrow. The mind fought panic, the body fought shakes. The mind won over fear of heights, the body won from fear of heights. I see no separation, no divide. And then the top. Suddenly, not one bread-sized rock between my boots and the rain-heavy sky. The mountain levels out, so the sphere of the world is spread round like a clock, and I, the eye that points the seconds' hands. Strange how the eye cannot stay on distance, but strays to nearer things. The rim of this island in air, a plaque that proclaims redundant grace, the whitewashed wall of a chapel, locked. My sneakers clack on bland rocks, but now the all-important feet are only a founding, are no more than a base. I am tall, my arms outcrossed, turning and turning the hands of the clock, ribboning the rainbow, bringing the sun, shouting a laughter of fabulous tears into the endless, ringing the joy. And there was never more humility in one exultant saint. Whatever this incarnate being does.